But it's just such a good time and a lot of fun. And I think Gerard Butler is freaking awesome as Leonidas. Such a
He's
legendary role in this movie.
I think this is like such a breakout, standout role in the last couple of decades. Like Gerard Butler as Leonidas is iconic.
That defined his career.
Yeah.
Like Leonidas,
Still,
it's a legendary role, and it's like what he'll be remembered for.
And he's so good in it.
Really
he's great. And he actually was a lawyer for like the first like 10 years of his career. He was a lawyer, and then he quit to be an actor. Hello, movie friends. How we doing today? Anthony here.
And James here. And today we're going to do a director filmmaker spotlight on Zack Snyder. And Zack is clearly a very divisive filmmaker. It seems to, for audiences and people, they either hate or love his films. There's really no middle ground. Like, I guess some people might say they kind of like it, but I feel like with Snyder, it's like you either love his movies or you hate them. Personally, we love his movies.
Yeah, I love him. I'm not in love with all of them, but I think that he's a really terrific, dynamic filmmaker, and he's made some really excellent comic book movies. I think that Dawn of the Dead is a really awesome horror film. I think that kind of gets forgotten. It's a really great remake of the original. That was his first film.
Great debut.
Yeah, and that thing is graphic, it's scary, it's terrifying, it's gross. It's like everything you want in a zombie movie. And I think that movie is pretty successful, but then the huge success of 300, the visual dynamics that he brings to his filmmaking. He's a very visionary, stylistic filmmaker. And there's really no one who has a vision like him in terms of, like, you can tell a Zack Snyder movie just from the visuals and how it looks. And, you know, that's technically an auteur, so you can call him an auteur. But I think that he is very underrated in terms of a lot of his films, for sure.
Yeah, and, you know, there are a lot of things that people hate about Zack, which we'll talk about in this episode. And I think a lot of people, like we said, hate or love his films. You hate or love his style. Not a lot of people are a fan of his use of excessive use, you could say, of slow motion. His use of desaturation and monochromatic color schemes in his films, which also are contrasted by vibrant colors of specific characters. Like a great example is 300, with that whole film is desaturated except for, you could say, the red of the Spartans in their cloaks and stuff like that is a great contrast. He doesn't write most of his movies, and a lot of people say that, like, Zack, he can't tell a great story without excellent source material, without source material that's already storyboarded, for example, like a graphic novel or a comic book or something like that, or even adapting something that's been done before, like Spider-Man or Batman.
How do they make that a knock on a filmmaker?
I don't know.
Spielberg doesn't wrate any of his movies.
Because I think
he only wrote Close Encounters.
I think what they're saying is, like, there's already a visual representation of the material, so that it's like a slight of him that he usually focuses on stories like that.
Because, like, in 300 and Watchmen, he
emulates a lot of shots.
Yeah, he like copies visually what the looks of the comic books are.
I think he's just very faithful to source material, and I think that he just wants to create the experience of watching a comic book movie on a big screen versus reading it in, like, your bedroom or something. You know what I mean? I think that's what he's doing. He's translating comic books to film, literally.
And speaking of film, he still shoots on film. He's one of the few remaining big filmmakers who is always shooting on actual celluloid, that's silver. It looks beautiful. All of his films are beautifully photographed. Well, his main DP has been Larry Fong. He has an amazing career as a cinematographer, just some fantastic films. But I think that his films being shot on film really sets him apart in terms of, you know, loving cinema. I think that's also why he and Chris Nolan, they're very good friends, why they get along so well, because they're both big purveyors of film. J.J. Abrams is as well as like famously Quentin Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson. And I think that film looks so beautiful in different ways. And Zack, when he uses film, like you said, it's heavy contrast and it's desaturated and, like, it's super vibrant in certain ways. Like 300 and Watchmen are really beautiful films, and then he went just full on desaturation with Man of Steel. And even Justice League, his cut is stunning cinematography. I think it's the most visually stunning comic book film ever made. It's really breathtaking imagery in that film if you watch the director's cut.
Well, I mean, the Batman, we will have seen the Batman by the time this episode's released, so that might be more visually stunning. I don't think
I've seen the trailer. I don't think that it could. I don't think I'm not sure a comic book movie could ever top the visual dynamics of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
It's absolutely incredible. I think
Yeah.
Man of Steel might be his best looking movie for me. I think the cinematography in that film is absolutely astounding, like what Larry Fong did with them, and just like they kind of took the aesthetic that Chris Nolan was toying with. Then Zack, it's like a hybrid of Nolan and Zack Snyder's vision in Man of Steel, if that makes sense. Because Christopher Nolan, there's a reason why he handpicked Zack Snyder to make the Man of Steel movie. He wrote the script with Goyer, and then he's like, I don't want to.
He came up with the story.
Yeah, well, so him and Goyer wrote the script, or like so they
Not
came
the
up with
script, the story.
Yeah, so yeah, and then he's like, he calls Zack Snyder up. Hey, would you be interested in doing a Superman movie? I don't want to do it. I'm doing something else instead. So there's a reason why he picked Zack Snyder.
He's like, I'm doing Inception, bro. I can't do.
I'm a little bit. Let's see, no, because he would have been doing it about Interstellar probably in pre-production.
No, Inception and Man of Steel were being made around the same time.
Really? Because Man of Steel came out in 2013.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
2013.
absolutely 1,000%.
Oh,
sure.
then it was Dark Knight Rises.
And Inception was 2010.
Then it was Dark Knight Rises.
So he had to have been either post-production. Well, yeah, filming back.
The pre-production of Man of
Yeah,
Steel is over a year.
Yeah,
so
2 years
So
probably.
it would have overlapped with Dark Knight
And
Rises.
plus, in Interstellar, he came out in 2014, so Chris was a little busy.
And also, he didn't want to do comic book movies after Dark Knight
Yeah,
Rises.
I don't blame him for that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to tackle both the icons. Like, Hans Zimmer doing the music and themes for different characters in the DC world is different than, like, a director doing all of, like, the big characters.
Yeah, 100%. And he and Zack Snyder are very good friends, and you know they have some similarities with their filmmaking, but otherwise they are pretty different and discernible from each other. Although Chris Nolan does use a lot of handheld in his films. It's kind of like people don't really talk about that much, but I think it's one of the strengths to his filmmaking when he likes to use handheld, which obviously Zack Snyder went full tilt on for Man of Steel. That's the only film in his filmography that really tackled handheld cinematography.
Army of the Dead.
For the majority. Oh, yeah, Army of the Dead, you're right. That is very handheld. And he actually handled all the camera work himself for that
So
movie.
he's a cinematographer of that film. I think he might have edited it too. I can't remember.
Yeah, probably. But for Army of the Dead, he used this special lens that Nolan developed. And so Nolan has this like amazing 50 millimeter lens, and that was specially designed for him. But I can't remember the company that made it for him. And he lent it to J.J. Abrams for The Rise of Skywalker, and Zach was trying to get it for one of his movies. And then he was like trying to call up JJ. He's like, bro, I need that lens. Give me that lens, man.
That's so crazy.
And apparently it's an amazing lens. And he used it at the end, that final scene of the Justice League Snyder cut.
The nightmare
So that
scene.
he used that lens for that. But it's a beautiful close-up 50 mil lens.
Just like Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, people either love or hate that style of that shot with that lens, because I love the nightmare sequence. I love that lens, the immense depth of field in the background. I mean, the shallow depth of field, everything's out, the tiny depth of field, everything's out of focus in the background. And I really love that aesthetic because, you know, it's realistic to the human eye. That's why it feels so authentic and real.
Yeah, 50 millimeter lens is the closest thing to the human eye in terms of like what we visually interpret in front of us.
Now, before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast, where you get awesome perks like you get to be the first ones to see our podcast schedules. You get personalized videos for specific tiers, patron shoutouts on the show for specific tiers, and also all patrons have access to a weekly bonus episode. Godfather tiers get to select their own bonus episode that only Godfather tier patrons get to view. We also just launched our podcast masterclass online course. So for anyone who wants to start a podcast or improve their current podcast, our 22 chapter, 46 video lesson course will give you all the secrets behind the scenes of our show. The link is podcastmasterclass.teachable.com, or just go to our website, raidersoftheLostPodcast.com. It's right there in the homepage. You can see all of our sources of content, our merch, custom movie posters. Follow, subscribe wherever you're listening. Thanks so much for tuning in around the world. Now let's get back into the director spotlight of Zack Snyder, kid.
And just like Nolan, Warner Brothers kind of took Zack Snyder under their umbrella to make a lot of their films. So they tapped him to make 300. I believe he developed that project under Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so he pitched 300 to them. He's trying to shop the script, and Warner Brothers didn't want it because they made Troy, and they were making Troy out around the same time with Brad Pitt. And they're like, oh, we already have a Sword and Sandals movie coming out. We don't want to know if we want to do this. So then they had Zack Snyder do some test footage. So he did test footage of what his vision for 300 was. And then Warner Brothers was like, yeah, sure, here's like, what was it, $60 million, go make that movie.
Nice. Good for him because it's visually stunning. It's very much reminds you of Sin City.
Yeah, kind of.
And then since that was such a massive success, because I believe Warner Bros. Produced Dawn of the Dead as well. I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm pretty sure they did. I don't know if they did SWAT because his first movie he was attached to make was SWAT, the one with Colin Farrell, but he quit out of the role after he was signed on because they wanted to make it PG-13, whatever studio it was. And so he's like, no, I want him to make a rated R version of SWAT. So I can only imagine how, like his vision and the script would have looked like. It would have been probably a much cooler movie. But it's a pretty decent film.
I mean, can you name the director of SWAT?
No, I can't.
So yeah, it would have been better at rated R.
And then Dawn of the Dead he got in 2014, and
no, 2004.
I'm sorry, 2004. You're right. I'm reading 2004. And
well, we saw that as kids in theaters.
I liked it. I know
it's
not like the original. Obviously, it doesn't have the same feeling and
it's
impact.
Different.
But it's Fast Zombies. Was that and Dawn of the Dead that were coming out?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean that in
you're all over the place.
What's it called? 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so obviously, because when you make a giant success like 300 for a studio, because it was extremely profitable for the studio. They made hundreds of millions of dollars of profit.
I actually have the budget and box office right here.
70 and 450.
So yeah, it was budget of what's like 65, grossed 456.
Okay, so then the studio probably pulled in 250 mil of profit. Yeah, just profit.
That's a lot of money.
So when you do that, and the studio gets very happy, then you're like, "What do you want to do, Zach?" And that's how we got Watchmen. And then obviously Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League. So he's been a Warner Brothers director for a while now, but obviously because of Warner Brothers' decision to give so much creative freedom and control to Joss Whedon on Justice League after Zack had already filmed most of the movie, and they just let Joss, when he came in, Zack had to leave Justice League because of a personal matter. His daughter committed suicide, so
horrible.
He obviously couldn't finish filming, but he had finished like 95% of the film, photography wise. It was all mostly in the can, and then obviously he couldn't finish post production or the last few weeks of photography. So he went to be with his family for a couple of years, and then Warner Brothers gave the movie to Joss Whedon to take the reins. And not only did he didn't just finish the movie, he rewrote the script, filmed. Like 70% of the movie was new footage that is not in Zack Snyder's cut. Basically changed the entire movie, and that was what happened with the theatrical cut. And there's a story of Chris Nolan and Deborah Snyder, who's Zack Snyder's wife and producing partner. She produces all of his movies, where they went to see the first cut of the theatrical version of Justice League because Zack Snyder couldn't bring himself to see it because he had heard the rumors of how much had been changed and how much Joss Whedon was shooting. And when Deborah Snyder and Chris Nolan were like flabbergasted and shocked by what film Joss Whedon ended up making and Warner Brothers allowed, and then they told Zack, "Don't ever watch it because it's not at all the film that you set out to make."
It's also how like you've told me to never watch it because I've seen pieces of it. I've seen like the final battle and everything. I've seen bits of it here and there.
It's
but
bad.
Anthony's always been like, "Don't ever watch that movie. It is one of the worst pieces of cinema I've ever seen in my entire life. Probably the worst comic book movie ever made."
And when I saw it originally, it put Zack Snyder down a peg in my book of filmmakers. Like I saw that, and I was like, "Damn, Zack, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, no one understood what happened.
Yeah,
and he still has the director
because it had his name on it. I think that Joss didn't want to put his name on it,
probably
because he knew it was hot garbage.
Because Snyder still has the director's credit on that movie, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, and if you watch them, it's like it's nearly a completely different movie from the Zack Snyder cut that HBO Max release.
What's nuts is like he just reshot so many of the same scenes with his silly, lame one-liner humor instead of the dark tone that Zack created the entire time.
Yeah,
it's just so bad.
He changed a lot of the script, and like and he changed like it would be like the same scene between Wonder Woman and Batman, but instead Joss Whedon approached the cinematography by capturing Wonder Woman's ass in shots.
Yeah,
it's just he completely sexualized her like he's done with all of his female characters. But then because of that. And they did let Zack Snyder make his final version. We all know it's the Zack Snyder cut on HBO Max. But I think because of that, Zack won't be going back to Warner Brothers because he just did obviously Army of the Dead with Netflix as well as the spin-off of that. And then Rebel Moon, his upcoming film that he's in production on, is also going to be a Netflix release. So I'm not sure he'll go back to the studio.
I'm not sure either. I mean, it seems like they kind of just left him at the door with his ideas and vision, because where do they go now with the DCEU? Who the hell knows? And now I even heard rumors today that the Batman will be tied into a multiverse somehow. So like,
So actually, a fan of ours sent us
So we were
some
wrong.
photos. We were totally. I don't know why, but so
should we say? I don't even know what you're about to say.
it's not movie related. It's not related to the movie, but it's action figures.
Okay.
So action figures were released in a different country in Walmart. And on the boxes of the Batman action figures, it says DC Multiverse, the Batman. So it doesn't say there's any other characters, obviously, but I think it was very intriguing in why they would put multiverse on the toys.
Gotcha.
So it says DC Multiverse, the Batman.
They bait and switched us, man.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna love it.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Well, we've already seen it, so I can tell you I probably already loved it. But it is what it is. Multiverse is big right now. But Zack Snyder Justice
so
League,
hot right now.
the way he was able to make that is, and we'll talk about the both versions later on in the episode.
Well, we can just talk about it now.
Yeah, fuck it.
I don't see. There's no reason to go in order.
Hey, you're absolutely right.
Let's not be constrained.
So let's stay on Zack Snyder Justice League. So
Yeah.
the 2017 version came out, which was really the Joss Whedon version.
Pile of poop.
Literally a pile of crap. It's just like a one-liners, so many smiling faces, really well lit. It looked so damn bad.
The movie it had such a breakneck pace. I had trouble following it. I really didn't know. I was like, what is going on? Where are we? Like, who is this bad guy? Who are these new characters? Like, in
Superman's mustache CGI'd out. It was terrible.
It was just too much.
The first day of the release, someone started the Release the Snyder Cut hashtag on Twitter. Just some random person tweeted that out as soon as they left the theater. And ever since then, it's gone up and down of like, and then when another movie came out, the hashtag got hot again. So like over the last 5 years or so, Release the Snyder Cut hashtag has just had random points throughout random parts of years of just being very viral, and just the audiences and fans that want to see it after being so disappointed by the Joss Whedon version in 2017 just fueled the desire for the studio to actually sit down with Zack, and they asked him like, what would it mean to release your cut? Do you have like a rough cut of it? And Zack's like, I have a rough cut, but it's not like ready for a theatrical release. I mean, it doesn't look like it's supposed to look. And if I want to do it, I want to reshoot some new things and finish actual principal photography. So he pitched to Warner Brothers what finishing the movie would look like for them correctly, and also what the marketing of it would be like. And they watched it at his house. They actually watched the cut of it at his house, and they're like, all right, let's do it. And so they actually had kind of a perfect storm of events where, because of COVID and lockdowns, no movies were in really production or in post-production. So a lot of visual effects departments were out of work for a short period of time. So it was the perfect storm where they had time to work now on Justice League, Zack Snyder Cut. So he was able to do the reshoots, and he was even able to throw things in like suicide prevention, that billboard, which is iconic and so important of a message to be heard around the world.
And on top of that, HBO Max was coming out. So it had come out. So Warner Brothers needed stuff to put on it to get people excited.
Yeah.
And I believe the Snyder Cut is one of the top watched things they have on HBO Max.
Absolutely. Plus, he was able to go with his aspect ratio that he wanted to, the 4:3 aspect ratio, the blocky look, which you either hate or loved. I loved it. I thought it was great. And then also, he got to make a 4-hour version of it, which you wouldn't have gotten that in theaters. He probably would have had like a 3-hour, 15-minute cut of the Justice League if he was originally, if everything went well and he was able to make that in 2017. But because of HBO Max and lockdowns and COVID expediting the process of streaming just taking over really entertainment-wise for like the last 2 years, he was able to release this complete creative vision from his mind.
Yeah, and Warner Brothers, I think they gave him $70 million to finish the visual effects, because they had done very few of the visual effects of his footage. Whereas, because such little footage was actually used that was in the Joss Whedon cut, that all the visual effects was pretty much done for the Snyder Cut.
Or if he did use the footage from Zack's filming, he changed it. Like, instead of Superman's black suit, he changed his Superman suit to the Man of Steel red and blue. So like they did that digitally, and it looked really terrible.
Yeah, the red, you could tell the colors, the coloring
looked
wasn't
off.
right.
It looked fake.
Yeah, and Whedon completely changed the third act of the film and eliminated so much character development. In the 4-hour cut, it's really great. There's a lot of character work for because the biggest weakness of the theatrical cut is it's so rushed and you don't even know who's who, and the team up happens, and you're like, who are these people? And then, but in the Snyder Cut, each character has their own story, their own part to play in the overall arc of the film. You feel like you really understand each one of them, know them pretty well. And so by the time they do team up, you're like, okay, I can get behind each and every one of them.
Yeah, because we talked about it in the Justice League Zack Snyder episode that we did. We did like an hour and a half on it because it was that epic. You know, Ray Fisher's cyborg character was mostly cut out of Joss Whedon's version. Ezra Miller's The Flash had a lot cut out. You know, we got their backstories. We got kind of origin stories, especially for Cyborg. And then we got so much more. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Zack Snyder's Justice League opening scene of Wonder Woman is one of the best superhero scenes in the DCEU in general when she stops that bank robbery. It is epic.
Oh, yeah, the hostage situation in the museum. Yeah.
The museum, not the bank.
It's so great.
It's incredible. Because Wonder Woman, like, she's so powerful, but, like, that's the first scene I think since seeing Wonder Woman that we saw how powerful she really is.
How fast she is,
yeah,
too.
It's incredible.
Like, she stops bullets with her forearm barrier, whereas we had just seen Wonder Woman 1984, which nobody liked. I think it's down to a 5-point rating on IMDb.
You're underwhelmed, yeah. Because Wonder Woman was incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the best DC movies.
And I think one of the weaknesses of 1984 is the action sequences in Wonder Woman's fighting. It did not feel like she's like otherworldly, really. Whereas,
especially the mall scene, because, you know, Wonder Woman, she's doing incredible things as a superhero. And then she's just kind of like floating around in the mall sequence. I was like, where's like the speed and the power? Like, I want to see Wonder Woman do what Wonder Woman can do.
Exactly.
We got that later on in that film, but really in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we got the full potential, I think, of what Wonder Woman can do.
But also, I mean, the climax of Wonder Woman 1984 is her and Cheetah swinging around on the ropes in the telephone wire. So you never really saw her power.
Yeah, it was a little underwhelming.
So Zack brought that in that scene in Justice League for sure.
In the entire movie.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the best superhero movies ever made. I really think it is. If you're not a fan of DC, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you really should check it out. And I mean, 4 hours isn't that long. People complain about watching a long movie, but then they'll binge a TV series in an entire day. And it's like,
true.
Come on, it's like I think there's this idea that when things are episodic, it's more digestible and you're more likely to say yes to watching it for several hours as opposed to one thing. But for me, I'm like, hell yeah, 4-hour movie, let's go.
Yeah,
let's do it.
We get more scenes of all these characters and even more scenes with Aquaman and Jason Momoa and Amy Adams as Lois Lane, and we get more Batfleck. It's great. I love that damn movie.
Yeah, but the cinematography is really incredible, and Zack Snyder's visual storytelling techniques they're just on full display in that film, and the great character moments he creates, like that amazing shot of the water splashing up like hundreds of feet into the air during that Aquaman scene while playing that cool song, the Nick Cave song, like things like that you don't see in other superhero movies ever. And I think that he just brought so much to that film, and it's a shame that it didn't go out in theaters. But I hope more people watch it and can really see the brilliance of it.
Yeah, and I think going through his filmography, which we did like in the last day or so, just like going through the movies. I watched 300. That's the one I've watched.
I watched it the other night,
too.
Because
it was new on Netflix. That gave me the inspiration. I watched it last night, so I was like, today I'm to Anthony. I'm like, hey, let's just do a Zack Snyder.
I have a vision. Zack Snyder spotlight.
Anthony was like, fuck yeah.
Because what happened was James has been watching Dark, so he's been using like the living room TV at night to watch Dark, and I'm not watching it.
I'm done.
And so I just been watching movies in my room so he can watch Dark.
I don't do it every night. You can watch movies in there. You're just
no. I like watching.
You love watching movies alone in your room.
I love watching it alone in my room. I just don't like people walking past me and bothering me and say lights turning on.
Anthony does not like any sort of distraction during any movie experience. You should see him when we go to the theater. It's great because if someone coughs, he's like, "Excuse me, shut the fuck up."
No, but seriously, I'm the guy that will ask you to stop talking. Well, not ask you, but tell you.
He'll give you a minute, and then it's like, you better stop.
Remember that couple at the No Time to Die?
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They were talking for 10 minutes straight.
I literally walked across the theater over to them. We could hear them
but
from
they were in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
It's like, you're this old and you're still talking at movies?
Yeah, unreal.
It's a movie.
Yeah, I will
it's
be
a
that
70
guy.
millimeter screening, too. It's a special event.
Yeah, like they're acting like they're in their living room.
And then they looked at us like they were teenagers at the mall getting yelled at by security. It's like, bro, you are 60. Grow the hell up. You're having a discussion during a movie. We paid $20 for these seats
Yeah, for real.
and parking at Hollywood.
Yeah, at Grom's is a great theater.
Yeah.
But back to 300.
TCL now.
So I was looking at what movie to watch in my watch list, and then I don't know what you were doing, but I heard 300.
Oh, so I was about to put Dark on. This was like last week, and so they put 300 was the new addition to Netflix recently this month, I think.
Also, it's the thumbnail
It's the trailer, yeah. So I just watched it in like the whole scene of him kicking the guy down the tunnel.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, let's go.
So I heard that through my door, and I just heard Leonidas screaming, "This is sponsored!" And I was like, "Fuck it, I'm putting 300 on." So then I put 300 on, and I was like, "Okay, this movie's awesome. I haven't seen it in a while."
And then I watched it last night because I had to finish Dark. That's how this whole week's been.
Yeah, that's why we picked this episode. But let's talk about 300.
Might as well.
So 300, it was a great film going experience for us because we were young. We were what, 16, 15, 16,
2016, 2006,
and we were big on IMAX back then. There was this theater in Massachusetts in Natick for all you massholes
at the Jordan's Furniture on Route 9.
Yeah, so Jordan's Furniture is a big furniture chain on the East Coast, and one of their biggest stores. It's like this gigantic, huge store. It's like a mall of
Kelly's
furniture.
roast beef too.
Yeah, so the Kelly's roast beef is amazing. Oh my God, roast beef sandwiches and fried clams. But they also had an IMAX screen there,
Huge one.
just one. But it was like the early days of IMAX, and you and I have just been like, we were going to that when it opened, because it opened and it was news in the area. It's like, oh, IMAX. We're like, what's IMAX?
We would go
It's
with Dad. We'd go We'd go early. We'd sit on the furniture and the love seats because there's all these huge showrooms with all nice decor. We would like lay on the beds. We'd get Kelly's roast beef, eat a ton of food. We'd lay on sofas waiting for the movie to start. Then we'd go get in line at IMAX.
Yeah, and it was great. And there were literally only like a few dozen IMAX screens across the country at this time. Now there are hundreds, but there were only a few at this time. That's why when people say, "Oh, you guys just hype IMAX because they pay you," it's like, no, we've been watching IMAX since it came out.
Yeah. Even at Science Museum.
Oh yeah, the Science Museum,
the
for
whale
sure.
whale IMAX,
the space IMAX. Although I fainted, but
that was the big whales one.
Yeah, the big whales. But I really remember going to 300 in IMAX when we were teenagers with our dad, and I remember just being blown away by this amazing film on this gigantic screen and the sound. And this was a big screen. It was like, there's nothing like it. And I was like, this is the best.
Yeah, in 300, it's excellent. You know, say what you want about Zach. Say what you want about Zach. Visually amazing filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I think with 300, he really got to flex his creative muscles and experiment, because Dawn of the Dead, it's a solid horror movie. You know, it's a lot of fun. It's fast-paced, good humor, has a lot of great elements of a horror film, but it's not like his complete vision of what he ended up doing with 300.
The style, yeah.
It's so unique and new. Like, there were new things he was kind of doing, you could say, but it wasn't super special of a movie. But I think 300, it's such a unique and special action film. It kind of created a new subgenre where so many filmmakers have tried to either emulate this style or full-on copy it.
Yeah. Like, there's been several movies, like The Immortals was with Henry Cavill, ironically. That was like literally just a 300 knockoff, especially. You know what I mean?
I'm sure people think that Zack Snyder directed that.
Yeah, exactly. But this film, it's amazing because it was all made in a studio with green screen, and they would build the sets. They would build sets like, you know, some of the Roman structures and, you know, like the hay and rock formations and the ground and stuff. But otherwise, it was green screen. And they did a remarkable job of really blending the CGI with the practical sets they did build. And I think it just it reminds you of Sin City, like this. And you can tell it's not perfect. It looks a little like off a bit, but like you accept it because you know this is like a comic book. It's a graphic novel. You're being inserted into this world. Same as Sin City. You know, Sin City has very cartoonish parts to it, but you're like, this movie's awesome. So it really reminded me of that film.
In 300, like you can say lots of parts of his movies, hyper masculine film for sure. This entire movie is a bunch of shredded dudes with no shirt on, and it worked. And you know, sometimes that's what people want. There's a reason,
and that's in the graphic novel. That's what they look like.
But there's a reason why this movie made $450 million. There's an appeal to that with a lot of audiences. obviously we don't have to do it in every movie, but sometimes it's great for some people. They want to go see a crazy action movie, hyper masculine, lots of action, lots of just hard dudes beating the crap out of people. Wars, ancient cultures. This is like one of my favorite ancient culture films besides Gladiator, but it's just such a good time and a lot of fun. And I think Gerard Butler is freaking awesome as Leonidas. Such a legendary role in this movie.
I think this is like such a breakout, standout role in the last couple of decades. Like Gerard Butler as Leonidas is iconic.
That defined his career.
Yeah.
Like Leonidas, it's a legendary role, and it's like what he'll be remembered for.
And he's so good in it.
He really
is. He's great. And he actually was a lawyer for like the first like 10 years of his career. He was a lawyer, and then he quit to be an actor. And then he got a few small roles here and there, and then he landed this, and this was his big moment. And he carries this movie, and he is absolutely perfect as Leonidas. He's got that great beard, and even amongst all these macho men, he's still like the alpha.
He looked like he got the
them.
biggest of them all, too.
I guarantee he started training earlier,
probably
because he must have been the first cast, you know. And then also in this film, Michael Fassbender, one of his early breakout roles as well. He has a lot of screen time as well. He plays one of the more prominent featured Spartan warriors, and it's like I didn't know it was him until like after seeing Inglourious Basterds and then watching 300, and like, oh my god, that's Michael Fassbender.
It's an honor to die by your side.
Exactly, that's his character.
Stelios.
Yeah, and this movie is just. It created like a culture and a mindset for, you know, people who are into fitness, people who are into pushing themselves physically, like the Spartans. And, you know, I think like that Spartan race that was formed because of the inspiration caused by this movie. Like we did a Spartan,
for sure.
We did a Spartan race once.
Oh, yeah. It's a good time.
So this movie created like a subculture of fitness people who are interested in, you know, pushing the boundaries of their physicality, and that the metaphor for that is being a Spartan.
Well, Zack Snyder, he's a fitness fanatic himself, lifetime one, and obviously he incorporates that into pretty much all of the characters of his movies. I mean, look at his action movies. They're all action movies pretty much, and everyone's just really in shape, very strong, and that's just the style. That's what he wants. That's the aesthetic. He wants to bring these otherworldly, powerful people and characters to real life. You know, did the real Spartans look like this? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, it's pretty epic. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, they were obviously wearing body armor in real life, but I mean, were they really? They must have been.
I wonder what an ancient Spartan.
It'd be silly if they didn't.
Let me.
You have one on your desk, don't you?
Yeah, he's wearing the same thing as 300.
Yeah, but is that accurate, or is that like 300 Spartan?
This is actually a 3,000-year-old statue.
Wow, they had porcelain back there.
It's bronze.
I'm curious because would it make sense to not wear any armor at all if your shield is big enough? I guess, but
they're so badass.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was just
okay. Yeah, they had chest.
Yeah, they had to have had chest pieces.
Yeah, chest pieces.
Yeah, chest plates in.
It looked more like Gladiator.
Okay, that makes much more sense.
Yeah, it looked exactly what Russell Crowe wears in Gladiator.
Gladiator. So, okay, thank you. So, obviously, you know, Greek warriors and the Spartans in the Greek army were they are considered some of the most feared warriors to ever exist.
Yeah.
So, that for sure is true.
They're like up there with samurai.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, the training regimen for Spartan boys is true as well. And Leonidas was a real king. And this really did happen. He actually did say some of these lines. It didn't happen, obviously, like this, but this was a real event. Ancient historians, they spoke about it and wrote about it. And they even in this film, in the graphic novel, they even drew from historians some of the lines that Leonidas famously said, like when they say, what is it? When the Persians demand that the Spartans surrender their weapons, and then Leonidas says, "Come and get them." Like, he actually did say that, and that's actually become part of the Greek army's motto in their first Marine Corps, right to this day, current day. Persians, come and take them. Exactly, and it's but Leonidas, kings in Sparta, they didn't actually go through the training of Spartan warriors, but in Leonidas' case, he did, which was very non-traditional because he was royalty. Because he had two older brothers who were going to take the throne. So being third in line to the throne, like, you're not going to be king.
But he eventually became king.
Yeah, but what happened was one brother got it and the other one got so super jealous he left. and then the brother who was king for some reason was exiled. So Leonidas eventually became king because they both abandoned the country.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But it has a great cast. You know, Gerard Butler. We have Lena Headey, who y'all know as Cersei from Game of Thrones. David Wenham, like Andy said.
Great voice.
Michael yeah, that guy.
He could narrate a phone book.
I'm surprised he doesn't do like more like credit card commercials and stuff like that. Like I know Morgan Freeman's got like a hold on them all, but
what an amazing voice.
Really
that guy
great
has.
voice. Dominic West is a great villain. So this is just a really good movie. But I think in general, one of Zack Snyder's greatest strengths is casting. He does an excellent job casting, like getting Henry Cavill for Man of Steel as Kal-El. It's an incredible casting. But even like a movie like Watchmen, which I really enjoy this movie. I think it's ahead of its time. And I think it was just too early because it seems like a movie that fits today. Like if this got made today, it would make like $600 million at the box office. But this came out, I think, a little too early for people before like the craze of superheroes was just.
It's a critique on superheroes, but like it was before all the superheroes came out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a deconstruction of superhero movies when it wasn't as big of a thing, superheroes in general. But I think if it came out today, it'd make so much goddamn money.
Yeah.
And I think he just did such a tremendous job adapting the comic book and the graphic novel by Alan West. We read it years ago.
Alan Moore.
I'm sorry, Alan Moore. Did I say Alan West?
Yeah. I don't even know who that is.
I don't know either. By Alan Moore.
By Alan West.
He made The Watchmen.
They're watching you.
He didn't read that. Unsubscribed. But I loved the comic book, the graphic novel. We had, it's thick as hell. It's an encyclopedia, but he did such a great job adapting that visually into a real action movie, and the casting was amazing of all the characters.
Yeah, he's also responsible for the casting of the Justice League characters. Like he cast Gal Gadot, he cast Ezra Miller, he cast Jason Momoa. So all these great actors who are loved in these roles, it's because Zack is the one who hired them. And apparently, like the way he hired Ezra Miller is Ezra. I saw his interview where Ezra Miller was telling a story of how he got a phone call one day from Zack Snyder, and he answered it. He's like, "Hey, this is Zack Snyder." He's like, "Oh, hey, man." And they had never spoken before. And then Zack's like, "So yeah, I'm thinking like you can be the Flash, and we're gonna do the Justice League, and it's gonna be great, and then we'll do this and that." And he didn't even ask him if he wanted to be it. He was just like, "So yeah, you're the Flash." And Ezra Miller was like, "Okay,
sure, man." That's almost as funny as how Cavill was playing World of Warcraft when he called him to tell him that he got Superman, and he didn't answer the call because he was playing. So damn funny.
It's great.
Now,
ironically, sorry to interrupt, Henry Cavill auditioned for the Brandon Routh Superman Returns.
I know, thank God he didn't get that. Holy crap, because he's perfect as Kal-El in Man of Steel.
Your eyes are glittering right now.
They glitter
perfect.
They kind of did do that, didn't they? My face changed.
You got so happy.
I got like puppy dog eyes. My head turned to the left. Did you see? It tilted. I felt it.
I've never seen you do that before.
No, I do that when I talk about Henry Cavill. Everybody knows this. Now, before we continue, our great friends at Manscaped have a bunch of new products. They're starting to take over all your shower needs, especially with their new Ultra Premium collection. You get everything on their website for 20% off and free shipping using our code Raiders of the Lost at checkout from manscaped.com. The new Ultra Premium collection features deodorant, yes, actual armpit deodorant from Manscaped, body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, hydrating body spray, and a free set of Manscaped lip balm. This stuff is fantastic. It's the all-in-one hygiene skin and hair bundle that's designed to upgrade every guy's shower routine from head to toe. Don't forget to also check out their Lawnmower 4.0 groomer, which is fantastic. It's got a 7,000 RPM motor. It's waterproof, skin safe, has a light, so you can use this in the shower, literally in the dark, a wireless charger. It's amazing. Fellas, over 2 million men are using Manscaped products. It's about time, if you haven't, just to get on this. There's a reason why they're a great friend of the show and why we love their products so much. So use our coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout to get 20% off and free shipping worldwide from manscaped.com. Hey, Anthony, would you say that less than $4 a month is a small price to pay for online protection?
Yeah, that's basically nothing.
Yeah, I know. So our new sponsors, NordVPN, has you covered, Anthony. Just use our link nordvpn.com/Raiders or use code Raiders at checkout to get up to 70% off your NordVPN plan plus 1 additional month for free. A VPN is a virtual private network that gives you online privacy and anonymity by creating a private network from a public internet connection. All of our movie and TV lovers listening, NordVPN also gives you the ability to access streaming services like Netflix, HBO, Hulu, as well as TV and movie content libraries from other countries at no extra cost. NordVPN protects your personal data, hides your IP address when you use the internet, and lets you bypass censorship, content blocks, and website restrictions. It's literally the equivalent of buying a cup of coffee every month, an expensive cup of coffee, to a small price to pay for premium cybersecurity and access to vast amounts of entertaining content. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee if NordVPN is not for you, so there's no risk. And I'm telling you, we've had NordVPN for about a month and a half now. They hooked it up with a free year subscription. And I'm telling you, I will never go back to not being protected online. It makes your life so much better. You don't have to deal with all these ads that are just geared to what it's listening to. And you type in toaster and you get all these ads for toasters on Instagram. It's crazy. It's driving me crazy, but not anymore because we're protected with NordVPN. Grab your exclusive deal by going to nordvpn.com/Raiders or use code Raiders at checkout to get up to 70% off your NordVPN plan plus 1 additional month for free, and that is dirt cheap. How about we head on into our intermission, pal?
I would hate that. I don't want to.
All right, never mind. We won't do it then.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's go.
I'm only joshing.
We'll begin with our movie release year. Anthony, when did...
Wait. Quote.
Oh, sorry, I skipped that. We'll begin with our movie quote competition. Anthony, listen to this quote and tell me if you can get it right. May it be your light in darkness when all other lights go out.
Can you say it again?
May it be your light in darkness when all other lights go out.
Is it Lord of the Rings?
Yep.
Thanks.
Nice. You're welcome.
No, I said thanks.
I know I said you're welcome. I don't know why you said thanks.
I don't know why. No idea why.
Galadriel.
Hey, you said it right this time. No one's gonna attack you. Galadriel. Has this guy ever read a Lord of the Rings book? Here's my quote. There are over 500 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's 1 firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we arm the other 11?
Crap, what's this called? It's that Nick Cage arms movie. The God of War.
Lord of War.
Lord of War. Damn. God of War sounds stupid.
It's a video game. It doesn't sound stupid. That's a popular video game.
Sure, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better apologize.
Sorry, God of War. Is that Ares?
I don't know.
Right?
It's been a while since fucking sixth grade history class.
All right. Let's go. Movie pop quiz time. No. Movie release year.
You are all over the place.
All over the place. What year did Goldfinger come out? Goldfinger.
Da, da. 1973.
Way off. 1964.
Damn it. Wow. Embarrassing.
A little bit, yeah.
All right. What year did The Thin Red Line come out?
Oh, I love this movie.
See how much you love it. You got to prove it.
I feel like this is post millennium, right? It's got to be like 2000 and it's before The Pianist. The Pianist is what, 2004, something like that. I'm gonna go. Oh man, or is it 90s? Sean Penn's pretty young in it. He's pretty young in it. I'm gonna say 2001.
No. 98.
Damn it! God damn it! What year did The Pianist come out?
2000. I think 2002.
Yeah, because Adrian Brody was 2002.
Yes, I got 2 right.
What was the other one you got?
Oh, no,
right?
I didn't get the other one right.
Yeah, that was the question you.
That
came
was
up
the
with.
one. I'm gonna cut that James Bond one out. I'm gonna keep the pianist in.
You would do that. All right, movie pop quiz time. Who directed Immortals?
He's an Indian American director. What's his name? You're the tough director questions lately.
They're good stumpers.
Sir, it's Singh. Tarsim Singh. Oh yeah.
Damn.
Ugh.
You got it.
Spartans.
I was not expecting that. Wow.
Kids, dump me. This is Anthony. This is my podcast. Bet you thought you'd get me, didn't you? All right. Go ahead. Oh, my turn.
It's your turn.
What upcoming major Disney film is Jared Leto starring in? Live action. Not Morbius.
I was gonna say Morbius. That's a Disney
It's
movie.
a Disney franchise.
Disney franchise?
It's been with Disney for decades. It's a big time franchise.
big time,
Big time.
big time kid. It's not Star Wars.
It's not Star Wars.
It's not Marvel.
Mhm.
Well, it can't be Marvel because
It's not Marvel.
Morbius is Sony. Like, what the hell would he be in? He's gonna play Mickey Mouse. Live action.
Correct.
You broke my heart. You broke my heart. That's his accent in House of Gucci.
Yeah. It's pretty accurate.
I don't know.
Tron.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Disney's Tron.
Yeah.
That's right.
They've owned Tron since the first one.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a Disney
That's
movie.
right. I
production.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
When's that coming out? Next year?
Probably in 2 years. There's a bunch of visual effects, I'm sure.
Do you know who's directing it?
I do not know.
It's not Kaczynski, is it?
No. Someone else.
All right. Anyways,
Tarsim Singh.
Tarsum Singh is directing it. All right. We got any haters and any unsubscribes worth bringing up?
yeah,
What we got?
a
Let's
couple.
talk about it.
Got a
Let's chat.
Let's chit chat.
Shitty chat.
We got some unsubscribes.
I'd love to hear them.
We have one unsubscribed. It's just a nice unsubscribe. AJ just a guy wrote, always till the day being a fan. I unsubscribed. Always till the day I unsubscribe.
Oh yeah, because I thanked
Yeah.
them for tuning in.
Yeah.
I
It was
remember
today.
that. Yeah,
It was today.
That was today. We have a great 5-star review from Starka12. The one movie podcast to rule them all. This movie podcast is the best. James and Anthony have made my love for movies grow so much more. Y'all are crushing it. Thank you, Starka12. That
Thanks,
is
pal.
really important and really touched me. Appreciate it.
You're glowing.
Really, I know I am.
We also have a Godfather tier patron shout out.
Patron.
Eileen Ordonez, a great fan of our show. And
we couldn't refuse. You became a Godfather to your patron.
Yes, and she's become a friend of ours as well. We love chatting with you, and we love your support so much. And your little pets are super adorable. And she's starting her own podcast very soon. She took our master class and learned the ropes from us. So
yeah.
we wish her the best of luck. Thanks so much, girl.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. On this day in film history, today is Thursday, March 3rd. The Batman was released this week.
Oh my God.
I had to drop
How'd you like it?
I can tell you I loved it.
Tell me, what was your favorite part?
We're filming this on February 24th, so my favorite part was Robert Pattinson's face. In 2010, Alice in Wonderland was released. In 2017, Logan was released. And happy birthday to Jessica Biel. What do you have for a streaming recommendation this week, Anthony?
I have What If on Amazon Prime, which is a very charming romantic comedy starring Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan.
I have another movie on Amazon Prime.
What is it? Now, what?
Sorry, I want to get it out without laughing. Uncut Jobs.
Uncut Jobs.
Uncut Jobs.
I was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Jobs.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's great. And Netflix, right? No, it's in.
Uncut Jobs?
I think Uncut Jobs is also on Netflix.
Netflix.
Uncut Jobs.
It started on Netflix. Now it's on Prime.
I think so.
Well, you're the one who picked it.
It's somewhere.
You tell me.
It's in the ether.
It's there.
It's on the internet.
It's in the jobs.
It's in the jabs. it's on Amazon Prime. Netflix. All right, let's get back into Zack Snyder. This is a silly episode.
Do you love movie posters? I sure do. The best place to get your posters online is at movieposters.com. They have a gigantic selection of posters for you to choose from basically every movie and TV show imaginable. Use our promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today. Our set is decked out in these amazing posters, high quality stuff, everyone. This is the best that money can pay for, and it's already super affordable at their low prices. I couldn't recommend them enough. They have all sorts of sizes, framing, even backlighting. Whatever your poster needs are, they can handle it, as well as a selection of all sorts of brand new movie releases, including classics. You can get everything from Spider-Man to Dune to Batman to Taxi Driver or Casablanca. Whatever your poster needs are, they got you covered. Again, head on over to movieposters.com and use our special promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today.
Something I love about Zach is,
Tell me.
he does a lot of his own artwork, a lot of his own storyboarding, a lot of his own drawing. He's a really big believer in drawing what he shoots. I think this is pretty rare for a filmmaker. Most filmmakers will work with storyboard artists closely to get the vision of their films on paper and on the boards before they go into filming. But I think when your director is writing and drawing them himself for a lot of it, I think it really helps bring his vision to reality so much.
Yeah, and he's definitely heavily involved in what his movies look like for sure. And that's why you can call him an auteur because of, when you watch one of his movies, you can tell that's a Zack Snyder movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like how he throws in a lot of symbology into his films, specifically the Christ-like symbology he uses in multiple movies. Whether you're religious or not, he has a Christ-like figure. Clearly, in Leonidas, at the end of the film, Leonidas, when he sacrifices himself, him and his men sacrifice himself, Leonidas is standing there dead. Before the arrows hit him, his arms go up. And then when he's down on the ground with all the arrows inside of him around his men, he's the only one laying on his back in a Christ-like on the cross figure. And then obviously we know that happens with Kal-El in Man of Steel when he strike that wall. He strikes the wall. No, strike that panel. And then he floats out into space in a Christ-like on the cross pose. So he has a similar theme and character of people sacrificing themselves.
Speaking of symbolism and Man of Steel, one of the strengths of the film is the mythology that he built within that film in the framework of the culture of Krypton. And, he really honed in on the symbolism of the shield and how each family has a different kind of symbol. And they created their own language of Krypton. Zod has his symbol. All the other people with their own chest plates is a different symbol, and hence that's why Superman's shield has the S on it, because that's a symbol of his family.
This means hope.
But the symbolism of using that logo and not making it just an S for Superman, but thinking more deeply about it, giving it an actual meaning and a cultural reality within the world of Krypton. I thought it was a really great take. I mean, Man of Steel, the first 20 minutes of that movie is really amazing. The Krypton sequence, it blew me away. It was astounding. Great filmmaking, such unique technology, that living liquid metal technology they were using. The animals, the architecture, the design of the planet. I was just really in awe when I saw that for the first time.
Do you remember where we saw it?
IMAX.
At Natick IMAX.
Jordan's Furniture, kid.
We got some Kelly's roast beef. We laid down on some Lazy Boys, and then we waited in line and saw Man of Steel.
Accurate.
And this is before you selected your seats in theaters. So
you just walk in.
We got there early. We were so early. We'd get Kelly's roast beef 2 hours before the movie would start, and then we'd be in line laying down. It was like camping out for a big event.
Oh my God, it's so true. It's so true.
But no, when I saw that for the first time, I cried a few tears at that opening sequence. I was just in awe and shocked at what I was seeing, because we're such big superhero
I couldn't believe
fans.
it was a superhero movie.
Me too. And I couldn't believe we were seeing it. A Superman movie that because Superman, the other one, was so lame. It was whack. It was terrible.
Lame.
And it was really I was disappointed by it. I was like, I guess this is Superman. And then when we saw this, I was just like, in a different world. I never experienced anything like it on that scale besides like Dark Knight or something like that.
Yeah, and Marvel had come out with several movies by that point, by 2013. And so, Marvel was getting into their groove. And I think what Zack did, his approach to it was so different from the Marvel approach. The realism, the character-driven story, the real-world circumstances. I think there was just an amazing take on a comic book film. And I really love it. It's one of my favorite comic book movies. I would put Man of Steel probably in the top 5 comic book movies. I think it's super underrated.
We did a whole episode on it too, so definitely go back and check that out if you haven't seen it or listened.
But also, Man of Steel brings me to this point of Zack Snyder movies of like this misunderstood quality of his filmmaking. His movies can be misunderstood, and they can be even deemed controversial with fans or with like popular culture. And Man of Steel is definitely one of those misunderstood movies and big controversies in it, especially with the third act and the destruction of Metropolis, buildings toppling, millions of people dying, just seeing the destruction of these two gods on Earth, and also Superman killing Zod at the end by snapping his neck. And I think that these elements are strengths of the film because most other comic book movies, they play it safe. The bad guy always loses, the good guy wins. You don't really see major characters die. You don't see much death at all. It's pretty much the same thing over and over again. But then to see this scale of destruction in a comic book movie, I thought it was really, really great storytelling. I thought it was also super challenging to an audience to see something that impactful. It seemed accurate to like what superpowered beings would have, what effect they would have on the environment. If they were thrown into a building, they would just go right through the building because the force and the mass would just be unequatable, like way bigger than anything that we can create here. So we would just be like paper mache to them. And I think it was a really fantastic take. I know it's hard to watch at times, but I think that superhero movies, they tend to be a little too safe, a little too comfortable, not really making the audience feel anything other than like entertainment. But I think that Man of Steel was a great direction for a superhero movie.
That's why I like Watchmen a lot too, because it makes you uncomfortable. The ending of that movie is very uncomfortable. Where I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but one of the characters. Well, I don't want to spoil it. I won't get into it, but it does. The third act, it's an uncomfortable watch because of what happens and what a character's steps that they take to ensure, the preservation of the world.
But also, there's dark, disturbing things in the first half of the film.
Oh, for sure. Things that Dr. Manhattan does, things that the comedian does, everything the comedian does is disturbing.
Yeah, and I think that having challenging comic book characters like that is really intriguing because, that grounds it more to like, I'm not talking like grounding it down to like, gritty and dark are terms that are used way too often for these kinds of movies. Like people always want to say it's just a dark, gritty movie. Like Chris Nolan only makes dark, gritty superhero movies. Like Watchmen's too gritty and dark. Like what does that even mean? Gritty. What does that even mean? But
there's like mud on the sidewalks.
Yes. It's just an easy way of complaining about something. But I think that it works really well because it's like a more true to life character, a flawed person, like a man who's a superhero, a comic book hero in this movie. But he's a villain in real life. He's a murderer. He abuses a woman. And that's like, even people in suits, they can be bad people as well, even if they're on the heroic side of things.
Well, I think that the problem with people, a lot of people when they watch movies and superhero movies, and even we talk about this with Fight Club, they just kind of watch the surface of the movie. That's what they think the entire thing's about. It's like they're glorifying those events. They're glorifying the behavior. The filmmakers are glorifying the comedian's actions, what he does in the film, and it's the exact opposite. They're showing how horrible it is because there are really evil people out there. There are bad people out there, and that's what they say gritty instead of wanting to deal with the fact that that's real. That's real life. There are murderers out there. There are killers out there.
The world's not a safe space. Yeah,
and I think that's a safe way of saying that. I don't like to watch it, which is fine. If you don't like it, then it's no big deal. You don't have to watch it. Yeah, but I don't think criticizing an entire film, an entire genre of movies, and an entire filmmaker's catalog of movies just because you don't like the tone of them or things you're seeing, it's kind of disservice to not just the filmmaker but all of the people that went to making the movies.
Yeah, and I mean, it's more authentic to real life. You know, it's like people aren't just making sarcastic jokes in everyday life in every situation. You know, it's not all just lighthearted. You know, there's darkness in the world, and I think that, you know, Zack Snyder with his comic book movies, he's happy to embrace that darkness, that dark side of humanity that is very rarely portrayed in other comic book movies. And I'm not saying that like the other comic book movies don't have villains, but like even the villains, they're just basically one note, just like, I want to destroy a planet, and like that's it. But like you can't relate to that.
Kind of, yeah. I would take it even further, even with Star Wars movies and some Marvel movies too. But Star Wars has the same thing where the villains used to be great in Star Wars. You know, old school Darth Vader, just an evil guy, ultra powerful. But then, you know, Kylo Ren is very flawed, and he's more of like a punchline in all of his scenarios. You kind of just laugh at him a lot, and he's kind of seems pathetic in some situations. He doesn't have that full bad guy threat, and everyone.
He's a simp.
He's a simp. We have to constantly now empathize with our villains versus Watchmen. There are just some evil dudes in it, and a lot of these DCE movies, a lot of these like DC movies, I love just an evil villain. That's sometimes you just need a great antagonist, which makes your protagonist's journey so much more special and fulfilling.
But even anti-heroes, because Rorschach is one of the leads of the movie, and he's a terrible person.
Yeah,
he's not a hero. He's not a good guy. He's a bad human being. Like down bare bones, just a bad, awful human being. But it's okay that a movie has that for a lead character. That doesn't mean that it's okay to be a bad person. But I think that it makes it a more challenging and interesting and thought-provoking film, which, you know, you want art to be. You want art to like push the boundaries, and, you know, to have a character like Rorschach, and he's a bad human, but like that doesn't mean that if you never make movies with people like that, you're saying that there aren't people like that in the world. And, you know, there's badness in the world, so there should be like representations of that in movies and in cinema, because it is a reality. A lot of people don't want to face that reality, but I think that movies like this, I think, are very thought-provoking and necessary.
I think that's, you know, what we're saying. The overall point is Zack Snyder isn't afraid to make challenging films and challenging characters, and it's pretty relevant in pretty much all of his movies, except for, you know, like what's it called? The Legend of the Guardians, the Owls, the Owls of Ga'Hoole, which a solid animated film.
Yeah.
This came out in what, 2011, 10. You're off. You almost got it. Which is cool. I love when filmmakers go out of their realm and they work on animated films like this. And then Sucker Punch I actually like too. I think it's his lowest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 20%. IMDb, it's a 6.0. I think it's a little underrated, though. You know, I think it has great performances, great cast. You know, you have a strong female cast of Emily Browning, Vanessa Hudgens, Abby Cornish, also Carla Gugino, Jamie Chung. Then it also has Oscar Isaac, John Hamm, Scott Glenn. That is a fantastic cast. Emily Browning is so great in that movie. Very visual heavy movie. Lots of great. You can see like this was a great stepping stone for him to get the action exactly right for Man of Steel, because I think Man of Steel has some of the greatest superhero scenes we'll ever see, ever. Like the battles in Smallville, I think that might be the best superhero fight of all time. I don't think it'll ever be topped.
I think that he just went less stylized as opposed to Sucker Punch, which was
heavy,
very, very, very stylized. But I think Sucker Punch is a better movie than critics say it is. I don't love it, but I understand. I like the movie. I think it's a cool approach to mental illness and this bizarre fantasy world that this girl has created. I also think that it's very confusing, and if Zack had been a little bit more open with what he was really doing with the film, what the story really was, gave the audience a little bit, some more hints, I think then audiences would have understood what was going on and understood what he was going for. Because a lot of, like most people, when they watch it, they just take it on the surface with what's shown to them, and then it's like hard to accept and even like the movie or understand it. And so I think that he made it he made it too confusing for audiences.
I see, because a lot of people, like some movies, they really benefit from a second viewing. Like this one for sure, you'll understand it better. But, you know, not everyone wants to watch a second viewing of a movie that they just didn't get, that confused them too much. Versus some movies that like deserve second or third viewings, whether
like
whether or not this deserves a second or third viewing, that's up to you. For me, I think it's pretty solid. I think it's cool, and I think it's fun. It's a good time. But it's like a video game too, where it's like these different levels, heavy effects. Each level gets a little more difficult.
I'm surprised gamers don't love this movie.
Me neither. That's why every time it's like a video game.
Yeah, but I will say, like, it's movies like that I love Zack Snyder, but I'm not like in love with his filmography.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
He's not a perfect director, and that's why it's like I'm not like a huge Zack Snyder, like, oh my God, he's the best director. I think he's made some really great movies, but then I think he's made some movies that are just like, they're good, but it's not like he's had an impeccable filmography.
Yeah, I mean, Dawn of the Dead, it's good, but it's not like it's good for a horror remake. And it's a good debut film. It's entertaining, solid horror movie. 300 that's just like a great movie.
Yeah.
Watchmen, I think, is one of the most underrated superhero movies of all time. Sucker Punch, it's pretty good. Legends of the Guardians, pretty good. Man of Steel, masterpiece. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Now, I personally think this movie is underrated. I know that you're not completely in love with it. I think the director's cut, the Ultimate Edition, I don't know if you've seen that. I highly recommend checking that out because everything's a lot more clear, and I think it's just more laid out. It's laid out a little better because I think a flaw of Zack is he tries to fit too much in sometimes with his stories, and his desire obviously is to make 4-hour movies every time, it seems like. And so sometimes there's just too much he's stuffing in, and he's cutting out things that maybe would help the story a little better.
Yeah.
But I think when you watch the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, it's a better watch for sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot to it that I really enjoy. I loved seeing Batman and Superman fighting. I thought that was a great sequence. But I just think the script wasn't quite there. Like you said, it was probably better if you watched the full cut. But I think that the storyline wasn't quite there, especially with Wonder Woman. She kind of felt like a little shoehorn into the script. And also the ending was okay, but I just think that the big monster villain, I wasn't feeling that, like a mindless monster being the villain. And then also the Martha thing, the Martha scene. I chuckled at that. I was like, oh, really? Is that it? Like, that's the turning point for Batman, the whole them both having mothers named Martha. I understand the point, like, it makes him humanized with Superman. Oh, he has a mother with the same name as me. That if he has a mother, then that means I can empathize with him. I just think that was
for the point they were at in their battle.
It was too trivial of a moment because Batman was literally about to murder him, like straight up stab him in the heart. And so I think that it was too rushed. It was too fast. There should have been more build up to Batman's decision to change his approach to Superman, because I liked that. I liked how Batman was like, you see what happened in Metropolis? Like, if this guy gets pissed off, like, he could destroy it, like anything.
Like, so I get his motivation to want to take Kal-El out.
I liked it. I understood the motivation, but I just think the script was the problem with the movie.
I think the first half is really good. Like, I love the setup. I love getting Batman with Ben Affleck. I think that's great. Introducing Wonder Woman. I liked Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor a lot. Like, I hope he gets to keep being Lex Luthor. How do you feel?
Great theme.
Yeah. Da-da-da. Very Succession-like. How do you feel about him killing Superman at the end of this movie, though?
Zack Snyder killing him?
Yeah.
I was fine with it because that's part of that's a famous storyline in the comics.
It is a famous storyline, but do you think that he might have done it too soon by doing it with the second movie that Superman's in?
I think so.
Because I think that even though he's going to revive him in Justice League, it's not until halfway through the movie that we get Kal-El.
You got to remember, we had 2 Iron Man movies before there were any other Avengers movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's what I think that maybe they got too excited with. Man of Steel was great. A lot of people loved it, made a ton of money, made almost $700 million. Now let's talk about a sequel, and maybe they brought Batman too early. We're introducing Batman too early.
And Wonder Woman. See, I think that Marvel, they understood, like, let's give them their own movies and then put them together in crossovers. And then I think that was the way to go, and that's what DC should have done.
And DC's just like, hey, the Avengers made a lot of money. Can we do that, like, next week?
Yeah. But they perfectly cast. Gal Gadot is perfect as Wonder Woman. And Barry and Ezra Miller is perfect as the Flash and everyone else, but like not giving them their own films, I think, was a weakness to the first 3 DC films.
Yeah, because Batman vs Superman, if it's a 5-hour movie, it's probably great because you have plenty of time to introduce all these characters, and Barry can have his own storyline. We get more of Diana Prince coming in, so like there's so much more to do. But when you're trying to not only introduce Batman, who is one of the biggest superheroes of all time besides Superman, probably the biggest, you're also introducing all these other characters to set up a team up so fast, and it's only Superman's second movie.
Yeah.
So I think obviously things got a little out of hand, rushing things too much, where I'm sure Warner Brothers was like, Zach, can we do the Justice League like in 2017?
Yeah, and I just think that not giving Batman his own movie was a mistake.
That was probably the biggest miss for the DCEU.
Yeah.
Because how epic could that have been? Like, I mean, just
whereas the Wonder Woman, it actually kind of worked because her movie was a period piece.
Yeah, exactly.
Set before the events.
and that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Like if we could have gotten, I'm sure, a Batman movie that was just as good as Wonder Woman, and I'm sure we would have. I bet Ben would have directed it. It would have been really cool if they just pumped the brakes a little bit. I know Man of Steel made a lot of money, and I know you're looking at the bank account that Marvel has been amassing, which now Disney owns. But take it easy, slow it down.
So that was the weakness of the film, and I think that the Kal-El's character in that film was quite grim the whole time. But I like how the world's questioning him. He's at a Senate hearing, being interrogated by congressmen and women. The lead one played by Holly Hunter, who's very good. But it was a great plan. It's a good plan by what's his name? Jesse Eisenberg.
Lex
Luthor. To have that Senate hearing end in destruction with Superman is the only survivor is a great way of pointing fingers at Superman. I think it was great, like you said, great first half of the film. It was leading to something promising.
I think what they probably should have done is have a solo Wonder Woman, solo Batman, then do a Man of Steel sequel with Lex Luthor as the villain.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been great. And then do Batman versus Superman, and then Justice League. It would have been a lot better.
And have Lex Luthor as the villain of the first Justice League movie.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Because we get the thing with the DCEU is we've gotten so much teasing that never led to anything.
Yeah.
We've gotten so much teasing of Lex Luthor, end credit scenes, and then we even got the post credit scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which will never lead to anything. Probably.
And Joe Manganiello's character
never got to be
Bloodshot or something. What's his name?
Deadshot, right?
No, that's the Suicide Squad one.
Deadshot.
But he was supposed to be the villain of the Batman.
Yeah.
The solo Batman movie that Ben Affleck wrote and was going to direct.
Deathstroke. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. That guy must be bummed out. Like, oh,
I know
man.
his costume was really cool and everything. It would have been.
It is a cool costume.
He's a cool guy. Listen to your friend Billy Zane. He's a
cool
guy.
dude.
He's a cool dude. And then, most recently, Army of the Dead came out. We did a little review of this when it dropped on Netflix. This is one of those. Let's have some fun at the movies. Let's have a good time.
Fun at the films.
Fun at the films, kind of shut your brain off. But with shut your brain off movies, there are good ones and bad ones. I think this was a good one. It was a good shut your brain off. It's like The Tomorrow War, Army of the Dead, versus like when I just did a review of Uncharted. That's a shut your brain off movie that like wasn't that great of a movie at the same time. Nothing new. But Army of the Dead, it's a new idea. Zombies in Las Vegas. The entire city's walled off. Go steal some money. Sure, let's have some fun. Let's spray some bullets. Dave Bautista is the lead. Is awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a very simple story. And Dave was really great in it. I think he really carried the film. It was fun. It was great gore, great zombie moments, and I like the how the zombies have an intelligence and a culture. I thought that was pretty creative for sure.
Yeah, but Dave is like a really good actor. Like he's great as Drax.
He became good.
But Drax, I feel like a lot of people could do that character, but it's good humor. It's awesome. But then like seeing him in this was solid, and then seeing him as a Harkonnen in Dune was really great. And I can't wait to see
seeing more of
him as a Harkonnen because this guy can act his ass off for sure. And coming from WWE is great because usually the superstar wrestlers, they're solid entertainers, but they're not usually great actors. And even in Blade Runner 2049, so this guy's awesome.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve cast him twice for a reason.
Yeah, and Denis is probably the best filmmaker working right now in his prime.
He knows great actors, and yeah, Dave is really. I think that Dave. I think he's big on work ethic, and it seems like he worked very hard to hone in his craft of acting.
For sure. I mean, you don't get that enormous at 6'7" without a lot of hard work. Just saying, the guy's a big human being.
Let's talk about talent-wise.
It goes hand in hand. Hard work.
Yeah.
Ethic.
You're right.
Work ethic.
Oh, yeah. I'm just kidding. But I'm excited to see
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon, which is Zack Snyder's upcoming film, which he's in production of. They've announced some castings. Who's the lead?
I'm pretty sure it's Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam, correct. Jimon Hunsu is going to have a major role as well. But it looks really great from the concept art that they've released. It's like a Star Wars-inspired not intergalactic, but interplanetary sci-fi action adventure that I think is going to have a lot of great dark elements to it. Seems very, very exciting of a project, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the first trailer.
Yeah, it's actually a story that he pitched to George Lucas when George Lucas was still running Star Wars back in like 2010, 2011. And obviously, since Disney bought Star Wars, they're like, no, it's a little too adult and dark for us. You got anything lighter? So they're like, nah. So this is actually, he converted that story into this movie, Rebel Moon. So I'm super excited to see Zack Snyder like tackle space adventure. Like, hell yeah.
Very cool.
His vision in space, it's gonna be pretty cool.
I feel like Charlie Hunnam, he hasn't had like that lead role hit yet.
Because King Arthur, I think, was an underrated movie. I think that
it bombed though. I'm talking like a hit.
Like a hit.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows him from like Guy Ritchie movies. Everyone knows him. His hit is Sons
one
of
Guy
Anarchy.
Ritchie movie though.
But Sons of Anarchy is like his big. That's what everyone knows him from.
Yeah, I'm talking about movies though.
True.
Movies. He hasn't had that hit because he's only in one Guy Ritchie movie, and it's an ensemble.
The Gentleman, yeah.
Yeah, and he's not even the lead. It's McConaughey's movie.
Yeah, you're right.
And then The Lost City of Zeeb, which is a really great movie by James Gray. That super bombed at the box office.
I wish more people saw that. I mean, Tommy Holland's in that. Robert Pattinson's in that, which is cool.
Dude, he's great in that. It's
Underrated
an awesome movie. But I just think Charlie Hunnam, and also Pacific Rim.
Bomb. Well, not bomb, but it just wasn't.
It's not like his movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel Idris Elba was just as much in it, and also the lead actress as well.
For sure.
So I feel like he hasn't hit that movie star movie yet. Maybe this could be it.
I feel I think he's got it. He's got the potential, man.
We'll see.
I think he could pull it off. I think he's a cool guy.
I think he's a cool. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying he has. I think he's had bad luck.
I'm just adding it to him. Some actors, I wouldn't say being a movie star's bad luck, but like
no bad luck at the box office.
Bad luck at the box office. I feel like that's a slogan we've said before.
No. We'll make it on. We'll put it on a t-shirt.
You got anything else on Zach?
Anything else?
He's working on a movie.
So yeah, just his background. He actually started out in music videos and commercials. He made video content for Anonymous Content, which is an agency that has been producing lots of commercials and music videos. His most famous commercial was the Clydesdale Budweiser commercial.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he did like hundreds of commercials, TV commercials, and then tons of music videos. He's done music videos for some pretty big stars, which is pretty cool. Like I think he did
My Chemical Romance, Rod Stewart, big names. Yeah.
So he's a cool dude too. It's the slogan for the day. You got anything else?
That was it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning into this director spotlight.
That was a good one
on Zack Snyder. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a good time. Hope you enjoy his movies as much as we do, and we hope you're going to see the Batman this week or next week.
We loved it.
And we loved it. I can tell you 7 days before we see it.
Man, that scene near the end.
We saw it Tuesday, so we got the early invite to IMAX headquarters in Santa Monica, and then we also have tickets for the 3rd and the 4th, so the 4th and the 5th. The 3rd and the 4th.
Yeah, 3rd and 4th.
So we've seen it 3 times this week, which is pretty great.
Yeah, it's really great.
Review is coming very soon, so definitely
it'll be coming next week.
Yeah, so if you want to watch the review without being spoiled, definitely watch the movie soon.
Absolutely.
All right, take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Find us on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to check out one of these other videos right here for more content on our favorite films and breaking down all kinds of movie content. Thanks so much.